slept in. Had a rough night last night, kept waking up for various reasons, so my husband just let me snooze along. So yeah, I haven't been up all that long. We're back on my alts plot. Yesterday we were talking about um, how to kind of dress up your winter plot, because not everybody's just going to have a winter plot just for the holiday. A lot of them want the winter plot to either last a lot longer than that or permanently or however they want. So, you can't just think about, holiday trees and wreaths and wrapped gifts and all that kind of stuff. While that's nice for that particular period, um, uh, you also want to kind of think about general things that could apply no matter what time of year it is. And it's not that you can't have a little Winterfest village year round, but I'm just thinking for those that don't want that, they want some kind of general basic winter scene stuff. Um, I just figured it would be nice to kind of brainstorm things like that. So yesterday we talked about like props like for skis, if you want to have like uh, just like a winter kind of lodge thing where you have a ski slope. We've seen already a couple examples of like the ski lifts that people have been building. Um, and in fact, tomorrow we'll probably visit another one or two that have that as well. But just coming up with ideas. We have an igloo here. We talked about putting in, somebody frozen on the cliff. So I kind of tried to give some examples of different ideas. One thing that might be fairly fitting for a winter kind of scene is a log cabin. Now, anyone that's tried to make a custom built house or cabin of some sort and everything knows that we're fairly limited on materials that would probably suit that kind of build. Usually, people just revert to using the 2x4s and just building basically a wooden house that, depending on how they use it, it looks close enough. Others use the thorny logs. You have the singles that are brown. We also have the green ones. For the log cabin, most I think would opt for the more brownish yellow one. They come in the stacks as well, but I've seen that used not just for roofing but for the walls as well. In fact, I think one of the plots that we visited either last week or the week before, they had made one of their cabins out of the logs. The trouble with these particular bits is obviously one side is way narrower than the other, so it doesn't sit kind of exactly, and you have trouble with gaps. And but if you don't mind that, if you just want the general idea of what it is to carry through, then it works really well. Today, though, I'm going to experiment with using the 2x4s, but to make it look more like a log kind of thing. And the thing that popped into my brain was a lot of people use the pillars, like the Cassian pillar and the Draken pillar and all that, and they make columns out of it by rotating it. So I figured you could probably do the same with the 2x4s to make little wooden loggy kind of things. So I did some experimenting yesterday just to see if the idea actually worked, and it seemed to do okay. So I'm going to show you what I did, and then we'll see how that will work. Obviously, this kind of method is not going to be practical if you're tight on housing decor. If you're really kind of limited, this isn't the kind of thing you want to try because it's going to be item intensive, because for one log it takes um, uh, basically 4 pieces of wood. Um, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to enlarge this a bit so we can see a little better. And put this over here so you can really see it. It's not sunk into the everything. Gonna straighten it up. So here you have the traditional wooden 2x4. Most people just rotate on the side and build their house that way. Um, I could probably name a few houses that have that type of house, but you could probably find it in the custom built category on the forums where we have our amazing Javit Builders listings and stuff. Typically, that's where those type of homes end up. Um, but what I want to do is try and see if we can make a log out of it. So we're just going to duplicate that and rotate it. Now, the first thing I noticed when I tried this was that apparently the center point of the 2x4 isn't exact. So you don't get it exactly rotated to the center of itself, which is a little weird, but so you just kind of have to eyeball it and put it in the center. A little bit more time consuming and annoying that it doesn't do that itself, but whoever set up the center point for the wood, it's clearly not exact. It might be because the wood is slightly bent, not exactly perfectly straight, and that's why it's a little offset. I don't know. I just know that when I was playing around with this idea, I realized that it was kind of a little off. So the idea is you're going to want to use Katya's Builder Toolkit because what we're going to do is once we make one log, we're going to save that as a set, and then from there we won't have to do this little micro adjustment kind of thing. In the meantime, this is just how I did it. So I duplicated it again, and then I turned it on a 45-degree angle to get this side. Again, you have to do a little bit of adjustment because again it's not quite quite right. So if you're into perfection, you might want to do better than me and just rather than eyeball it, you might want to calculate. I don't know if that's even possible, but I'm just kind of giving it a good look-see. So then duplicate it again, do it the opposite, so minus 45, and then you just again just kind of stick it in there till it feels about where it should be. And there you have a round log. Again, if you're going to build a full structure with this kind of thing, this kind of item, it's going to be a lot of decor used up to try and do that. You can see how it's not exactly straight. There's a little bit of a bow in the center. But there's your first log kind of thing. So I took the liberty of making a set. Now, the reason I'm on my actual alt character is because I got tired of clicking through like 30-something sets trying to get to the one that I'm working on at the moment. So I've just decided to get it on her so we could just automatically be on the first one. So you can see that I already have a set in here for this particular piece. Why did I pick 4? I figured I'd go big first. Not only is it easier to see and to manipulate and get it nice and precise like I want, but I figure if we're going to try a little cabin, you're going to have some fairly long parts for the sides of the walls on at least on either side of the door or something like that. And then when you make the set again, then you can just shrink it down to fit, like if you want to try and squeeze in a window there, just kind of make it half. So instead of 4 long, it'll be 2 long, and so on and so forth. Hopefully that makes sense, but we'll see. So first, I think, yeah, I'm just looking to see where I want to put this thing. let's just set it out here on flat ground just to make it make it a little easier to kind of spot. So I'm just going to clear this off first. And we'll do the one that I made earlier. Now you'll notice I used the middle one, the middle flat one, as the mother, the parent of the set, and we're just going to see about putting in a little bit of a house here. Now I'm keeping it at the right angle 0, 0, 0 because for me it's easier to build straight, and then if you want to turn it a different way later, turn it as a set after you're done building it, because trying to move things at an angle and keeping it nice and lined up and everything can be a little troublesome. So then from there on, all I have to do is just keep pasting the little set and then dragging it over. Now you will have to kind of eyeball where you put it. If you want to get exact, you'd like check where this one's sitting. Like, let's just put it at 86 to make it easy. So we know that this one needs to be at 86 as well. That kind of thing. Same way if you want to make sure it's the right spacing here. Put it at 65 just to make it easy. And then we just adjust the height. So when you're putting this together, really depends, I guess, what kind of look you're going for, but I'm just kind of getting it not like totally squished together. I want to keep the shape of the log. So what I could do is, instead of clicking it over here and dragging it all the way over, I could just clear this set and add link set again, so it's right there. Now, for those that try to use the set manager and have trouble with it remembering the set that you just entered, the best way to do that, because like say I suddenly, my game crashed for whatever reason, or I lost power and it disconnected me or something, it probably more than likely wouldn't remember the set. I'd have to resave it. The best way to make sure that it gets saved to disk, that it's on your little character's app data file or whatever, is to close this down and do a reload UI. And it should now be on your little character individual file. Because I've had a lot of people tell me that they try to use it and it disappears and it makes them frustrated, so they quit using it. And such was the case with the individual that lost their entire plot when a roommate ended up creating the whole thing. So really just try to remember that when you make a set, even if it's the full plot set or a little bitty set like this, do the /reload UI just to kind of make sure it sets the set. Just kind of ensures that it's saved for sure. Katya is the one that told me that when I was having some issues with it, and I talked to her about that, and she's looking into some way of better indicating or cluing the builders in on that through the add-on, either with a pop-up or a little tooltip kind of thing, to let people, remind them that the /reload UI might be good. I did ask her if it was possible for like a an autosave kind of feature. You know how when you're working on a document, it automatically saves at regular intervals, but that could be problematic because depending on how many pieces you have in a set, like a full build, um, it could like have a bit of lag, and that might annoy people if it's automatically doing that every few minutes or something and that kind of thing. So, but she intends to put in some kind of a extra reminder of some sort. Hey, Soccer Top, thanks for joining. Okay, so we saved the top one, so we'll just do a. Let me just back off of here just in case. We're gonna do a little place on link, and then I always click off of it, and then I'm just gonna raise up one of the pieces. Now, Katya, the way she likes to do it is, or at least from what I recall, is she likes to save a set and then move the original to where she wants the next one to be, and then she places it and it ends up filling up whatever gap she had. You could do it either way, whatever's easiest for you, whatever makes more sense. Um, so we're just gonna make this, I don't know how big of a cabin. Um, just gonna make it a few high here. The main thing I'm looking at is like the height. This would probably be the height of the door if we're going to have one. So we want the wall to go maybe one or two higher than that just for the finishing of the wall. Yeah, got an achievement. Notice again, I'm just eyeballing. If you want to be exact about your build, you can, calculate how much of a step up it is. I don't know if Katya's actually works for multiple things. I know you can do like I could say for like stairs and steps, if I'm using a single item from one place to the next, and then it can calculate where the next. But I don't think that works as for multiples. I'll have to ask her about that. Um, I'm just writing that down so I remember. I actually have my desk is littered with little notes, so it's a wonder I get anything done or remember a thing because uh, I got too many notes. In fact, I got some new sticky notes and stuff for Christmas. My mother-in-law knows that I'm a note freak, so she got me another set of them, and it's like, well, gonna add to the pile. I have things sticking up all over the place. Okay, so I think we'll call that um, a good height for the wall. So basically, um, 6 logs tall. Now think about that's 4 pieces per log, so you're already, adding it up. It's like I said, this is not a type of a build that you want if you're already kind of low on decor space. This is something where you're just kind of doing something a little extra small. You have the space, and you're not really pressured about that. That would be the only reason you would use this particular idea. I just wanted to see if I can make an actual log, make it look like a log cabin. So, okay, so what we can do now is I'm gonna move off to the next one, just so we don't lose the original single one. And I'm gonna see if I can make a full set of this whole wall and just double it over onto this other side. So what I'll do is I'll start linking these individual sets and make one big set. So uh, we'll just link it to the top one, and hopefully works. Okay, so if I did it right, everything should light up purple. Yep. So there's the whole wall. You just move it however I want. And we're just going to replicate that. So what you do is you, again, pick the parent, add the linked set, and now it's got all of it. Now, the thing to remember is I don't think it saves individual linked sets. I really haven't checked that out, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't. It just remembers the main one. So we're going to do a place all on link, and it should chop, 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 chop up. And it'll see, you see how many items there are, and it's got a little fill bar. It's really handy. I don't think I had that before, but she added it in so that folks would know when it was done reconstructing or whatever. So now we have a second wall, and let's see. 97, that'd be better. Now we have two walls, and we've got a little space for a door. Now, if you want to get really complex, you could make room for windows and stuff too. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it a little simpler. I'm going to have like a way to get in, but that's about it. So now we need to do the other sides. So what we'll do is we'll do a place all link, do it again. Again, there's 24 pieces per wall section. So this time I'm going to take it, I'm going to grab it, and then I'm going to rotate it. And get the width or depth of the thing. Now notice I'm not mashing it evenly. I want a little bit of overlap so that you see the log ends. I could, bring it out like this, and that kind of makes it look a little different. I want it to show that there's actual logs there. So just tucking it in a little bit, leaving it sticking out just a little bit to have that little crossing. Let's see. Place that, and then I'm going to check where that is. That's at, let's just put that at 61.5, just to make it kind of even. Let's bring that a little further out. 1.55. There we go. I like that better. So, probably the easiest is just to make another set of just this one here. That way we can just push it off. I'm going to add this little wall set here. Now, if you're smart, you can start labeling these. This is just like the individual log. Let's just say one log. And this one was front wall, and this one is side wall. Oh wait, if you're going to make like a lot of little things, you don't want to get confused about what set is what, because I have done that before. Not a good idea. And remember, if you want to make sure you're not losing them, just do a quick reload UI, and that way it should remember it all. Okay, so we want the sidewall right here. We'll do a place all in link, and it should pop up over here. Now, since I have this pretty even, I should be able to fairly easily line it up on the other side. I can get at a good angle here so I can see a little better. something like so. It's pretty close. Okay, and then we go back to the front wall set and tack in these. Now, the only difference will be I probably wouldn't want a door in the back wall, so we're going to have some overlap here. I don't know how that's going to really work. It's probably going to add some blinkiness to it, but we'll see. We'll see how it looks. So we're just going to do a place all on link, and it should be this one, I think. Jump. Now, if I really wanted to get, persnickety, maybe I would start off with the back wall first so that I know the size of the logs. But really, when you start doing the reducey bit, going to change the size of logs. It's not like we can just extend how long the logs are, which would be great if we could, because sometimes you just want to stretch it one way rather than make it all proportional. But we don't have that ability, so just kind of have to make do. So I'm just checking again about where that looks fairly even, maybe a little, something like that. See where it's sitting. But let's put it at 58, how that looks. That's not going to work. 810 maybe. Yeah, it looks better. So I'm going to do another set. I'm going to call it back wall. Add linked set and do / reload UI just to make sure it's in the system. It's really easy to forget that. Place on link should pop up here. And then I'm going to go ahead and set it up for this way. And then we'll decide how we're going to address the hole in the back. If you want to save yourself some headache, you could just say there's a front door and a back door and be done with it. But I'm going to try and fill in the gap. So let's see where that's sitting. 97, so let's do the same for this one. Okay, so I'm going to do one more back wall. We're going to see just how awful this looks. I imagine there's going to be a lot of flashy. See how it's blinky? Place it, and then you can see what I'm talking about. You could technically leave it as is, but it's like, I want to leave it like that. One way you could try and remedy that, which it's going to have a little bit of a strangeness to it, but you can do the changing it just by like a fraction of it was size 4 and I've put it to 399, and you can see that the flashing stops and it doesn't look too bad. Looks a little patchy, but not anything horrid, so I think we'll leave that, call it good. There's little log cabin, kind of shapy. If you want to extend the sidewalls further out, make it double, so you have a nice big square little house, fine, whatever works for you. Let's see. Let's go back to the front wall and do another achievement. I forgot about these. I hardly ever build with her, but just easier. So we have a full wall here, but I don't want a full wall. I want a wall that kind of is about the same size as this one. So I'm going to see about how small we need to make these. 1.5 maybe. 1.5 looks about right. So what I'm looking at doing is setting up a log kind of door. Now I'm only putting it in the actual door frame just to kind of get it nice and straight, and you see where I'm going with that here shortly. So there's a part of our door. So I'm going to make a new set. We're just going to call that door. Oops, now and all that. Let's try that again. Usually when I go to typing and it's not actually in the chat, I start bouncing around. It's like, oops. Now you'll see that it's not exact. That's okay, because I'm gonna open it anyway to make it, you know, like a faux functional door. So it's not that big a deal if it's not exact. If you want to be super precise, then yeah, you can adjust it if you want it. But I just wanted something pretty close. That way, if you just kind of at a glance, it looks like it would be the right size for the door. Now, obviously, you don't want to take it all the way up to the top because you'd have the top bit of the wall coming over. So we're probably just going to double this. What I'm going to do is get the door set, place solid link, should be here. Pop that up. Kind of hard to see because you got all the log bits there, so just do your best. If you see that it needs fixing later, then you can adjust it. That looks okay. Now we have the little log door. And what I'll probably do is take this one here. Let's see, let's go back to the one log. And do basically what I'm doing is fitting in big size logs for the top two bits. Let's see. Call that door top. Just think about how many pieces this is. It's just nuts when you think about it. Okay, not sure how. Yeah, I think that covered up. I'm going to lift this up for now. See what I'm doing here. So we're going to make this, instead of just the door for the single, I'm going to clear this out, call it door again, but I'm going to add two little sets here. So that's, where are we at? That's the first one. And we're going to try and link it to that one. So that's the whole door. Now, I'm not actually going to copy it. I just want to save it in case I mess up. I can just quickly rebuild it. So close that. just in case, you know. Sometimes I make sets even though I don't plan on replicating them. I just do it just in case I kind of mess it up. So, let's see which way we're going to have the door swing. I'll just do it like this. Like so. And then, of course, bring down that other log. Now, if you notice that this one actually is a little shorter, you won't actually want this double log here. You could just remove those pieces. You just unlink it. And then just remove those bits that you don't want. So it looks a little bit more at the right height. I could probably remove an extra one, but I'm going to leave it just for the heck of it. Okay, so there's your log cabin door. Pretty weird looking. Okay, the fun part is the roof. How we're going to do the roof. Some would go ahead and use the logs themselves, just finish it off with the roof, but we'll probably just do something different, I guess. You could just use the typical floor pieces if you want. For log cabins, I don't know what would be the most suitable roof for that. The thing I like, which is kind of cumbersome because it's the one that I used for the pirate ship house, the boardwalk pieces. But the issue with those is there's all that metal pieces that stick out and are kind of awkward. You have a lot of bracketry and stuff that you really don't want, but you know you got no choice but to use it because if you're going for a particular look. So that would probably be one option you could try if you don't, especially if you're making a faux cabin, that would probably work really well. If you're not actually having it where you're going to go inside it, that would probably work okay. You could get fancy and lay down an actual log cabin floor. We're probably just going to crimp it a little bit and just use like exile floor. It's still wood, but just to kind of keep it simple. We want the outside to look pretty, but the inside is not that big a deal. So we'll just add a bit of flooring in. Whenever I have a undetermined length of space like this, I always do each end first instead of, you know, lining them up nicely here. I do the ends first, and then I set in the middle one. Other people probably do it differently, but that's the way that works best for me. That way, I don't know, it just feels more even, I guess. Rather than having like two long ones and then a short little bit there, your lines are a little bit different, or not different, or however you want to say it. Okay, so roofing. I'm just gonna go easy on myself. We've already used up a lot of decor on the walls to make it look like a log cabin, so we're just gonna go with the basic of using the roofing. So The trick would be to try and find the center of this wall, and then make sure that your peak is over the center of it, whatever angle it takes to get that. There's probably a really smart way of doing this, but I imagine Katya's probably has a built-in kind of thing thing she can use. I think there's uh, whoops, there's a feature there where you can find the center of something. I'm just gonna eyeball it as per usual. So now, depending on like maybe you don't want this, such a large overhang. Like you could do is just kind of start sizing it down. Maybe 1.5 would be better, or 1.25, whatever you feel like is about good for you. And then I don't know, just start angling, I guess. Might actually want that to be bigger. Let's try it at 1.5. And I don't know what a good roof angle is, to be honest. Is it 45? 35? Try 35, I guess. Whoops, forgot to unlink it. I'm gonna do that. And then again, you kind of want it to meet up in the center, so just change the way I'm moving it. Again, I tend to eyeball stuff. If you're more into accuracy, definitely go do whatever you got to do to make sure it's exact. But for these little goofy builds, I don't mind it being inaccurate. That shows later if I'm trying to match something up. You know, if you're like putting in a fence and you're just kind of eyeballing it the whole way around, you might come up with like things that are really uneven on the other side or something where it's trying to meet up. I've had that, you know, like with rivers and things like that. There's a roof. Just kind of decide how you want it. And there you go. There's a roof. Okay, so back to Katya's, and we're going to replicate that over. It was such a pain to make. And we'll just call it roof. And the linked set. Again, you'd probably want to do the, you know, slash reload UI. I'm not going to because it's just a couple of pieces. If it was, you know, like the whole cabin, yeah, I would gotta do that, but we'll just call it good there. So again, I'm going to pull this over all the way to the other side first before, you know, I could start lining it up, but I'd probably end up uneven on the end, so just gonna see how it looks. I may decide that maybe it's exactly 4 long and that would work, but I think I'm gonna do it like this. And I kind of stand in the middle and just kind of look at the edges here and eyeball it. See, it comes out, it's not quite 4 long, it's just a little bit. So that leaves me with these little strange gappy bits. So the way I work around that usually is to do just like I did with the logs. I fill it in, and then I'll probably like so. Sometimes you get some interesting designs when you do that. Uh, it's not for everybody, but sometimes it works. So now I'm just copying the smaller set. Again, I just reduced it by 0.01, so it's not like it's a real big change. Now the only thing you probably want to come in here to make sure a little even here. That way the design that you get on the interior is also visually somewhat appealing. And voila, so now we have a little rift thing. Now, the bane of a lot of home builders is this little triangle bit, because the triangle pieces that we do have obviously don't work as nicely as you would think, because the angles are usually wrong. Because we just arbitrarily picked an angle and said, that looks okay, and you know, you're done with it. So what do you do to kind of patch that in? Probably you could start off with the triangle pieces, which I think is what we'll do here. And we just happen to have angle wall. And what I'm going to do is, it just so happens that it kind of set itself up just about right there. So what I would do is I would size it down so that the point is about where it should be. Now others will probably do it differently. It's just dependent on, you know, whatever's comfortable for you. Now I'm going to leave it visible just so I can better align things. And then I'll probably end up taking it all together and pushing it inward. So I'm going to duplicate this, and then I'm going to turn this so that the one side of the triangle is relatively the same angle as that. Now I'm going to probably bump the size up a little bit. It looks like it's a little shy of the corners there. I'm talking about the little gaps here and here. So I'm just going to keep enlarging it until I get it about where I think it should be. Notice I'm having to push it in quite a ways because I don't want it showing on the outside. The inside's a different story. You might end up with a weirdness in here that you don't like. But I was pretty sure the log was thick enough to take it, just if it ends up putting it in the center. So if your walls are not as thick as these logs, you could come up with some weird little designs. I've seen other people. It doesn't look bad. It's a little messy looking, sort of, because it's a lot of patchwork. Hey Bones, welcome to the show. But you know, it's not anything horrible. So I'm just going to duplicate this bigger one. And then I'm going to rotate it so that this side is roughly the same angle. Again, I'm just eyeballing. Now, if you want it exact, you want to know what angle that is, then just adjust it however you need to. Okay, and then I'm going to push this one in like so. It looks okay. Not too bad. And then for just to double check, see how it looks inside. See, it's not too bad. The angle's almost where you could get away with using two of just the big ones, but end up with like a small little fine bit, so it's just easier to put in the centerpiece here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take we'll clear this up and call this the roof side, and then we'll put these pieces with that. And that's your side piece. We'll add that linked set. Place all link. And then we're going to push these over here. Now, remember, the inside is going to look a little different because you're looking at it from the wrong way. So we'll have to adjust this one a little bit. Whoops. Because we want it to look the same on the outside. So I'm just going to, whoops, need to unlink that one. I'm going to push this one triangle out. Like so. That way the design is the same from either side. Voila. There's your little log cabin thing. Like I said, you could go through the trouble of making really small logged walls so that you can add in windows here and there. But for something like this, it's already going to be item intensive. You probably want to keep it a little simpler than that. So you would use just regular faux windows, like the arched ones. These ones here would probably work all right. Just try a couple of the little ones. Shrinky dinky, whoops, shrinky dinky it down. Oh, I didn't remember any of the things that I did. That looks pretty good. Now you could sink it in a bit if you want. Won't be able to do it too much because of just the way that the wall is built itself, but there you go. Weird little, make it a triple. There you go, something like that. You want to have the same thing on either side. Just again, just take your link set, add it. There you go. Got another one. The linking is a really great tool. Um, I use it a lot. I used to not, but I do now. Well, yeah, that would be an idea. Let's see. You want to use the flower one. Let's see, where is that? I know. The floral one here. Or the let's see, flower one, I guess. We'll keep it just the center one as the floral. Just to be different. Oh, we went the other. There we go. Okay, so again, we're supposed to be in this little winter thing. Let's see. Don't know how much the snow ground costs. How much is that? Yeah, it's too flat. It'd be nice, but it's a little out of my character's reach right now. Um, so let's see if we can kind of cheat that a little bit. Let's, we're gonna fake it in here a little bit. Maybe. Wow, I can't remember what angle these things are. Yeah, I was afraid of that. Can't make it too big. Well, let's try. Let's just see if we can use this. Our faux snow. Don't want the snow going in the house. That's bad. Poor little house. This is the trouble I had with my mall when I built the mall first, and then I tried to add in the ground, and it was like this too weirdly. Well, we'll do it like that, and then I'm gonna move it to the side for a minute, and we're going to cheat a little bit. And then we'll lower it back down. However far it needs to be. Oh, that's so bad. Ain't gonna work, is it? Try something else. It's caved into the cabin. That's what it is. Maybe we can tweak it a little bit. Why does it always turn the wrong way? Let's see if that works. Is that better? A little bit. Hard to check it out because it's inside. I think that made it worse. Try it this way if I can see it better. Really big mess, isn't it? It's always one little piece. Okay, let's see how horrible it looks outside. There's not a whole lot. For winter scene. See if we can add some snowdrifts or something. Gigantimus. Really hard to see the arrows on this thing. I find it strange that even the edge kind of replicates the ground instead of it all being really snowy. Come on, you arrow thingy. There we go. Add another one on this side. See how nicely the arrows show up when you're not on that white snow. That looks right. We just need something for here, so let's do this. All for a scene that's not going to last, but whoops. This is exactly kind of how I built the ground for the store, though. Just kept tweaking things until I got the cover that I wanted. It wasn't easy. It was very time consuming, and there was a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth. Well, if I do an upside down snow pile, it just will replicate the ground that I already have, which is the far side version, which is the wrong color really. So not ideal. Yeah, exactly, Bones. I don't like the controls. I wish there was a way you could either make them darker or change the coloring depending on what kind of um, stuff you're working with, because it really is pretty frustrating. Okay, looking a little better. The front door's got a little bit pile of snow there, but I think that's all right. Let's put I got a little gap there. I'm just gonna cover it up with a little mini. Now let's do like a snow clump. They're cheaper, I think. There we go. No one is the wiser that there was a little gap there. So something along those lines. Now, Bones suggested that uh, you put some snow in the little flower things. There are actually some snow-covered ferns and things you could get, little bushes and stuff. That would probably work really nice. Just fill it in as if it's um, some snow-covered plants rather than these nice non-wintry looking things. Now I'm kind of making it small because I don't want it going through the wall there. Oh, okay, soccer. Sorry. Somebody suggested that. Okay, something like that. That works. That works all right. Oh, you too. You have to forgive me. I'm pretty bad at doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a very good idea. So, obviously, the next thing is to kind of make, like there's snow on here. Now, the rough part is you can't get too super realistic because I can't push the snow in onto the roof very deeply because then it'll start showing up in the roof above. The only way you could probably get around that is maybe to actually put in a roof wall here so that there's an actual ceiling rather than leaving the arch. Um, what the? Apparently my add-on is out of date. But the easiest way is probably just to get the snow clumps and plop a few on the roof to make it look like there's some snow up there. I do one on this side and then one on the other side, and then we'll just oh, for crying out loud. Something like that. I've seen some others do it, and they do it a lot nicer than what I'm doing, but it's just an example. Let me check and make sure it's not showing through, because the roofs are pretty thin, so yeah, I was afraid of that. So just push it out. May look really weird now. Because the snow clump, I think it's kind of rounded on both sides. It's not perfectly flat on one side, which would be awesome if it was, but I'm not sure it's like that. So, down just a little bit. So if you really want it rounded, you could probably just add another one, tilt that, bring it over. I'm fairly confident that's showing from inside, so take a look. And just push it up. See how bad that looks. Probably want to shrink that down a little. Oops. My mouse goes nuts sometimes. And just check and make sure it's not sticking through again. All right. Okay. So yeah, you just kind of throw on some clumps here and there. Don't want to do it too much. You just want to kind of, that was bad. Do that reload. Click something and got an invalid house decor. So one of these probably won't stick. They seem to both be there. I don't know. But you keep messing with it. Like I said, you don't want to do it too much. Finish your chew a Santa slate. Turn on that one. Well, I'm gonna have to check that. That's on Santa Claus, right? I went there the other day. I guess it was last week sometime, and but I didn't stick around too much. I'll have to drop by again. Anyway, you want to do the snow bit, but you don't want to do too much, because you know it can get kind of overkill on it. You just want to do little bits. So we'll do like maybe one more over here. Bring it almost right to the edge there. We'll call it good for that. Well, I'm definitely going to do some more winter house tours tomorrow. I've got 2 or 3 lined up. Another thing you can use is the icicles or the glaciers. I mean, we've seen how the glaciers look. They look pretty cool, but I think the icicles will work best in this instance. Clusters is probably easiest because it's several in one go. Granted, if you use them too much, then clearly starts to look a little repetitive. So you might use a few clusters and a couple of singles just to kind of break it up a little bit. That's a little big, I think. I don't know, I can't decide if I want that up so that there's some of that ice showing or just do it like that, I guess. Now you could get really elaborate and have it all over the edge, but I think we'll just stick with a few here and there. Don't want to, again, there's no need to overdo it. So I'm just going to pick a few places that I think it will work all right. Now the roof is a little bit more trickier because you've got the angle that it's sitting at, so I don't know how easy that's going to be to pull off, but for sure we can do it like this. Whoa, 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 whoa. Try that again. let's just throw in some different ones just to break it up. There's the group, that's the double, and then the spike is just the one. We're going to stick with the double one, I think, because the spiky one has that, it's not a flat bottom part, it's spiky on both sides, so. Like so. Just experimenting with different like I said, you don't want to it's just accents. You just want to use it as accents. Playing that so it'll quit blinking at me. Oops. Turned it. I didn't mean to. Okay, let's see if we can put some on these here. Like I said, it's probably going to be a little trickier. I think this particular one will work all right, though. Narrow, so I might be able to kind of bake it in a little bit. At least up at the tippy top. Like so. Kinda. Oh well. No. I always accidentally hit the place instead of, I do the duplicate instead of the placing. It's I am a doof. Something like that. Fix that one up again. Maybe it'd be better if I put it in like that. I don't know. I don't think it'll work very well this way because of just the angle that it's at. You don't want to turn your icicles uh, to match the angle because then this looks a little weird. What I'm going to try though is hide it with a snow clump. Yeah, yeah. There, so kind of cheated on that. Put it a little clump there, hide the little icicle bit sticking out. So there's just some quick little decoration to it. If you're wanting like a chimney kind of thing, you could probably either custom build it, which we may do later in the week. Finish dressing it up just to kind of finish it off. But I kind of like how it turned out, especially with the logs. That was something I was just curious if it would, look normal, and it seems to work all right. like I said, it's not for everybody, especially if you're really looking at making a really huge house with it. But for a small little cabin in the woods kind of thing, um, maybe you just looking for an extra little simple thing to build, just a small little house, off in the corner behind your already, other big house kind of thing going on. This would be a fun little thing to try. Um, So I hadn't seen anybody else use the 2x4s like this, so uh, hopefully it's something that will inspire others to give it a shot, experiment with how to put it together. Um, so yeah, I think we'll call it good for today. Like I said, we'll probably be back Thursday or Friday and do a little bit more, add like a door handle and some interior decorating. We'll think about the fireplace and stuff and how you would work that in. Because I want to kind of stick with the winter stuff at least until the 1st of January, which I guess would be Friday technically, but we may wait till next week to really start delving into some other projects, just to kind of keep with the theme of December being winter stuff. It's not that winter suddenly disappears at the end of December, I know that, but I'm sure folks are probably getting tired of hearing about winter stuff, so we're going to start looking at some other kind of things that we might can build and brainstorm for next month. I'm thinking about trying to aim for like particular themes each month to kind of give myself some better direction rather than just kind of hip hopping from idea to idea. We'll see though. It really depends on uh, how easily it is. If I say I pick a theme like say vehicles or something, and then I can only come up with one vehicle to make, that's not going to last us very long. So it'll really depend on what kind of things I can come up with. But for sure tomorrow we're going to be doing housing tours. We may be visiting a few Dominion homes. I know of at least two, I think, that we could take a look at, and then we'll switch back over to Exile side because there's at least two or three there that we can drop by. Um, I don't know if any of the ones that we visited so far or any of the ones, well, I don't know if any of the ones that we visited so far are actually planning to enter themselves into the Winterfest housing competition. I do know of at least one or two that we might be looking at tomorrow is planning on it. So I'm going to kind of refrain from being too judgmental. I tried to do that with the others. I just said, that looks nice because most of the time people, when they put their ideas together, it's nice, it's clever. I'll mention what, maybe the materials that they use and stuff, but I'm not going to like, do my judging on, live stream. I'll save that for just my private time. I'll say, well, that one's worth, 8 points, or that's -2 for this, or something like that. I'll do that on my own time off camera, but um, just to mention that some of these may or may not be entered into the competition, so it might be a good chance for those that are also planning to enter to kind of get a first sneak peek at some of the things that they're going to be going up against. We do have just a little over a week, I think, left for the builders to submit their homes. So, those that are opening their homes to the public now and have, entered or planning to enter, they're a little bit braver than some of the others that I know of that are keeping theirs hush hush until the last moment, because I guess some are a little bit more competitive than others. They don't want folks to look at it and go, oh, I can do that too, and kind of steal their ideas and stuff. So those that are opening their doors now are on the brave side, confident even, I should say. And so it'll be fun to kind of get a first kind of peek at some of that stuff that's coming out. Um, So yeah, that's going to be tomorrow. I don't know exactly when. It'll be sometime between 8 and 11 a.m. CET time. Again, I tried with the kind of keeping a scheduled date and time, and that didn't quite work out for me. And mornings is kind of just hectic around here, so I really can't give a specific time. And with Wednesdays, usually the afternoons usually mean some kind of maintenance, not always, but most of the time. And so I can't do that in the afternoons anymore. So uh, just kind of keep an eye out. I will try to remember to tweet when I hop online. And of course, if you're following my Twitch channel, it should send you a note to say, hey, here it's online and all that kind of. Well, I'm sad to hear that, Bones. I think a lot of people I think not only if they were waiting on the new decor, um, they're finding that it's maybe not as easy to grind up as much materials as they want. There's a lot of the decor that only drops from the instance, like a lot of the snow-covered plants and things like that. Uh, it's slow going and collecting a lot, especially if you don't have a lot of time on your hands to dedicate to running that instance over and over and over. It can be a little frustrating because I know there's like a cluster of snow-covered trees, and then there's the snow-covered fern and the frosted something or other. There's a lot of bits that uh, things that people are, still trying to get a lot of the items for. Myself, my husband has been running on his character through some of the dailies, so I'm going to get to steal some of his stuff and so I'm looking out there, but again, I'm also getting crimped for storage space because every time you add more new decor, then you have to remove some, and it's like kind of iffy. Distracted by your greenhouse. Well, that's another excuse, but it's a lot of it is just people have time constraints, other priorities. There's still a lot of people that are heavy into the rating. They just don't have time to dedicate to building a house as quickly as others. There's some people that they have to plan and it takes them hours and hours to build something, and so they might have something done in a month, whereas someone else that's a little bit more experienced with the building tools can whip out a full build in like a couple of days. It's like night and day sometimes. It doesn't mean that the one that takes longer is less appealing once they're done. It's just they're a little slower in progression. And unless you're really good at planning ahead and think, well, I'm going to build a winter plot, and here it is, July, and maybe I'll have it done in time, then you're going to be crimped for time if you wait to the last minute to get to work on it. Yeah, exactly. People have, school stuff, family stuff, work stuff. There's just, not everybody has, no life like myself where I could sit for hours on end and play around with building stuff. But anyway, so tomorrow house tours. Um, a reminder that the housing competitions are ongoing. As far as I know, Black Dagger Societies is still taking entries. I honestly haven't looked at that thread to see what else is going on over there, but so I don't know the deadline for it. I'll have to look that up, I guess. But for sure, Venus Risings, the deadline for that is January 7th. You have until January 7th to submit to your house. We've already gotten a couple more entries, though I think one of them was actually for entity size, so they'll probably be asked to move that to that thread. But I do know we've got a couple more, like I said, that are kind of waiting until the last minute, so they kind of pounce on the competition and say, haha, I've had this all along and now nobody can do what I'm doing. But I know there's at least one. She's still in the process of rebuilding, but it looks like I think she's pretty confident that she'll be done in time. And then there's another one, a guildmate of mine, that's working on one. There may be a few others, so hopefully, fingers crossed, we have a good, decent amount of builders. I know there's one that entered that's on Dominion side. They just submitted theirs either yesterday evening or this morning. So slowly folks are coming out of the woodwork. It'll be nice to see what all we have. I'm anxious to check them out. It's going to be tough, trying to be all critical and everything about, points and stuff. I haven't done that before, so it'll be a new experience for me. And depending on the reaction from the people, if they feel like we've been fair, hopefully it's a good reaction, and I'll be inclined to do it again if it's really just kind of ends up in a sour tussle of people being, uh, disappointed or overly angry at the results, then that might not be something I approach again. But I volunteered, so I'm going to do my best to be as fair and consistent as possible. But yeah, just about a week left to get your house built, submitted. Do that if you've got a winter plot. The biggest stipulation I think a lot of people are having trouble with is there does need to be some type of protostar tribute of some sort. There's some little area, it could be a small little corner that's dedicated to protostar. Um, a lot of people don't want to put protostar stuff on their house. Maybe it's a little too goofy looking or something. So some people are having trouble with that and just don't want to do that. But yeah, exactly, Bones. That's the only thing that would worry me, that folks would be, pretty upset, because I've watched, from a distance, other competitions and how folks have reacted to some of the results of those. And if it's anything like that, this will be the one and only time I volunteer to judge. But all I can say is, for my part, I will do my best to be as fair and reasonable and consistent as possible. Even if there's guildmates or people that I know that build and stuff, um, it's just I'm going to be as objective and non, favoritism, none of that stuff. If I think you could have done better, then I will, note that and stuff like that. Hey, Maddie. Well, that's good news. I'm hoping more folks will be announcing their plots to open soon kind of messages. Which one are you going to be entering? I haven't really been looking around. I haven't even done any kind of random visiting the last couple of days. I wrote a few down. I know a couple of places on Dominion side that noted to me, but I still haven't even gone to look at them. Partly I'm just kind of saving some of it for later, so I can look at it later. But yeah. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for today. I hope you guys had fun. It was fun for me to try and attempt an actual traditional log cabin thing. Maybe it will spur others to try similar things with other types of wooden decor. I think 2x4 works the best just because it's yeah. The thing I found disappointing with the haunted house was I wasn't able to change the look of it. I had to actually re-wall the whole thing to make it look different than what it was. Because it's still got that, creepy, foggy looking effect. It's not the easiest thing to work with if you're trying to make something bright and happy looking. It doesn't quite match. I'm sure they did that for a reason. Obviously it's a haunted house fab kit, so it's supposed to be, haunted looking. But if you're wanting to kind of manipulate it to customize it yourself, you're kind of limited. So yeah. And I'm still hoping that they switch the decor place sharing of the proto mini house, because the last I checked, it's still connected to the exterior, which I really wish it was connected to the interior, because exterior is just so rough when you're trying to lay down decor, and you got the landscaping to deal with and the house structure and the interior decorations and stuff. It really eats up fast. But I'm sure they thought, well, we got this one that's already kind of eating off of the interior decor count, so we'll have one that does the opposite. But it really doesn't work well for, I think, most folks. But yeah, the lighting sucks in the in the in the haunted house. You think it's a bug? Well, I hope so, because I was looking forward to it, using it, and then I found out that it was connected. It's like, no, because I'm already kind of pinched for space out there, and having it connected to the interior decor count would be so much better. Because for whatever reason, I know there's some people that can use up all of their interior uh, decor count really fast. I don't know how they do that because I'll like add lots of details and I never reach that. Um, yeah, it would be nice if they extended the exterior a bit, you know, but I don't know. I'm sure there's lots of little logistical reasoning behind the limits that we have now, and they probably know that there's maybe like a top limit they can give, and they're just giving it piece by piece, that kind of thing. Yeah, exactly, Maddie. It's the same for me. I hardly ever get to the even close to the decor limit cap on the inside. Yes, I agree. I agree, soccer. The light limit is really, really short. I did notice that the two seem to be separate. The interior limit is separate from the exterior, which is, I guess, good. But for outside, especially for those that have nighttime plots where they almost are required to have lots of lighting, or custom built homes that need all of the lighting on the inside to kind of light up the rooms and stuff, it's really tough. And then of course if you do any kind of custom building that has lights built into some of those structures, that can be a little pinch as well. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I'd like added or changed or improved, but just gotta, keep our fingers crossed that eventually they'll get around to it. They've done so much since the beginning. I mean, here we started. It's so weird to, think back on how our limit used to be 300 items. Now it's almost like, how in the world did we exist on 300 items limit? That just seems unreal now, because 2,500 is no problem to reach that, in a flash. To think before we had just a fraction of that. So it's the housing's really come a long way in terms of that, but yeah, there's so much more we'd like to have improved on, expanded. But like I said, my big wish always is more decor space because I'm at the point, I've been at the point for a long time that I have to keep deleting stuff to introduce into new. So every time we have a holiday now, I'm going to be dreading it kind of because I know that means new items are going to be coming out, and that means I'm going to have to remove some stuff to make room for that. I was kind of inwardly glad that I really wasn't into the spaceship stuff because that would have been a ton of junk that I would have had to I want to hoard. I did grab a few pieces, like some of the vents and some of the lights and stuff, but thankfully I wasn't. Well, you're lucky, Bones. Be aware that it's hanging out there like a little doomsday over your head. That one day you're going to hit the limit, the storage limit, and then you're going to have to think, okay, now I need to get rid of this and this and this. Because in the beginning it was kind of easy. You could get rid of the quickly, like all the floors, the orange floors that you might have. I might have had like a stack of 50 or something. That's easy. I can chunk those because I can always rebuy them later. But now it's getting to where okay, um, I have like 30 teal flowers. Those are craftables. I could recraft them, but it gets expensive after a while if you keep deleting those and crafting them again. And you're probably going to use them fairly regular because it's a nice item and you don't necessarily want to get rid of it. Yeah, sing the doom song. Yeah, see, Maddie, that's kind of why I decided to go with the mall because that whole switching the theme, rebuilding from scratch every few months, that really does put a pinch on. That's probably why I hit the limit so quickly because, I had like um, a theme where there was a lot of electronics, and I hadn't used a lot of electronics before, so I had to collect a bunch of those, and now they're all still in my crate, even though I'm probably not going to use those for a long while. That's part of the reason why I wanted to pick a plot, a theme that I can change out some things, but the majority of it's going to stay the same so that I can have a little bit more flexibility as far as what I save in my crate and what I don't. Um, but even said, now I'm starting to expand a little on some alts. I haven't for quite a while. I mean, I build on celery a little bit with these little mini projects like the swimming pool and stuff. And of course, I have turnips plot where I did that fully custom house and everything, but I haven't really reached out to my alts too much till now. I'm starting to actually work on leveling them up so they have access to housing. That way I can start, instead of just giving everything to Carrot, then I'm going to, start dropping off some stuff. There's a lot of the Christmas items I'm just going to be sending up. I may regret it later that they have some of the stuff that I wish I had somewhere else, but it's the only way I can think of, getting around the storage limits, because I'm going to have to start building other projects elsewhere. I just don't want to, yeah, I've seen several start talking about doing that as well. Allie's one of them. They wanted a plot. They've got like a little country home that they want to be able to change the scenery, the landscaping to the season. So they had like a a pond with loose water, and then for winter they've changed it to the frozen pond, um, and added like the snow clumps and stuff. But a lot of people are just finding that it's uh, it's a real pain to keep changing out the items, all the time. Like I said, there are certain ones that you can change out pretty easily, especially if you have a steady kind of income of flat coming in. You can change out things that you can readily buy off of the auction, housing vendor, or that you can craft yourself. But there's so many of those really rare things that you've had trouble collecting. You've got like a handful of them. You don't want to get rid of those because they're not easy to come by. Like the noose or something. Maybe you've managed to collect 6 or 7 of them over many months. You don't want to get rid of them because it took a while to get a hold of them in the first place. And 6 doesn't sound like a lot, but 6 here, 6 there, 6 there, of all these little rare pieces, that adds up, and it makes it rough. So yeah, storage is my biggest wish. There's lots of other things I'd like to that would be nifty, like moving parts like elevators and platforms that make you bounce funny and all that kind of stuff. But for me, I go more practical. I want that storage space. That's like the really big thing for me. But yeah, so tomorrow, house tours. Thursday and Friday, probably back to the little log cabin to kind of just goof around on that. In the meantime, I wish you guys good luck on finishing your plots if you're working on one. Um, and if you're not, good luck with whatever else you're doing, whether it be rating, leveling, staring at the screen blankly, however, whatever you spend your time doing. Wish you luck on that. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the tweets and the retweets and just the general support. I obviously appreciate those that come in to chat with me and everything. Still waiting on Soccer Top to give me a note detailing specifically what they would like for their little customized gift. I know they mentioned a tree before, but I have no idea where, or now that the holiday is over, maybe a tree isn't the ideal thing. If you want a tree for year round, that's your choice, but please do drop me a note, Soccer, and uh, itemize it out, what exactly you're wanting, so that I can know how we're going to put that together, because I need to know if I need to build it just off on an alt somewhere and then send you the copy code or whatever, or if you're going to set me up as a roommate or something, then we can arrange that, get together in games sometime or something. Um, I think that's it. Just a reminder that we do have the housing competitions ongoing. If uh, you want to know some more specifics about the rules and things, the links to the both of the competitions that I'm fully aware of that are currently ongoing are in my resources section on the Twitch channel page. Um, I think that's it. So good luck. Thank you guys for dropping by, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.